I'm going to hit on a few subjects today, and I'm just going to see where the conversation goes because I'm conversating by myself here. It would be nice if I could have, some sort of banter going between myself and another person. That would be great if this could be more of a podcast style conversation. I don't have anybody available to me to be able to do that with, but I think I might perform better for you guys in that kind of setting. So we're here, and it'll be me, conversating with you, and I know that you're out there. And there's a few people that I know and that I'm familiar with here in the collective. I like to see y'all as a collective. And yeah, so it helps me to envision a few of you working with energy and frequency and understanding the nature of the human is really vital to our forward movement from here, because it seems as if the lines are being blurred, and you know that can be a huge problem. It was funny because I was watching this marijuana documentary. In fact, it was Sabine Hassenfelder. It was a video that she did on the metrics of marijuana use. And it just kind of popped in my head with regard to these um, gender lines being blurred. And she was talking about the feminized plants. And it made me think about marijuana plants that have been made into hybrids, and we have the male and the female plants, but the males are pretty much unwanted, right? And the females are the ones that produce the bud. If you have the male in the mix, it's going to produce seeds, and so they take the male away from the female so that she produces. But there are distinct lines here in the gender of this plant and its purpose, I think, is the broader point, in that the male serves a certain purpose and the female has her purpose as well. And of course, none of it would work unless we had both, with regard to the marijuana plant and to any other creature that exists, because there are certain things inherently tied to us that are tied to our gender, and that's inescapable. And to be clear, it's not a matter of supporting people who are different or who have a different sexual orientation. It's a matter of pushing an agenda. That's the problem. The problem isn't with sexual orientation. If you look at the metrics, you could see in our modern society that there has always been about 2 to 3% of our population that was homosexual. The narratives and the promotion of certain ideologies have created this circus and have done this, actually damaged, I feel like, damaged the gay movement in a lot of ways. The problem is that you have adults who are imposing their ideologies onto their children, because I don't think most kids are going to run up with the ideas that these people are coming up with. These are ideas that are put in the minds of children from adults. And I know that most of us that are older, a little bit older, know that, yeah, I mean, any of the crazy ideas that we ever had in our head came from somewhere. I'm going to say it again. I really feel like it's that Pluto and Scorpio generation that is just like getting after it, and they've got the help of Pluto and Leo and Pluto and Virgo. So that's kind of crazy, because those particular generations are so steeped in ideologies. And the Pluto in Leo generation was the baby boomers, and they were kind of falling into that generation. And there was a lot of heavy ideologies coming from that generation. They were trying to impose on the Virgo generation, and the Virgo generation came along and really heavily rejected a lot of that. And they did bring some of those Leos on board, and some of those Leos are still around, and still having their impact on our society, because some of those people are still in leadership positions, but it's that Pluto and Scorpio generation that really wants to blow things up. It's that Pluto and Scorpio generation that wants to effect a change. And something usually with that particular placement is kind of devastating. And I think y'all can see how that applies. And when it comes to their children, they're very controlling of how it is that they're allowed to develop. And I think that's just insanity, because they feel like they're empowering them in some way when they're really just taking over and affecting them on a physiological level, if not simply a psychological level, and creating all sorts of instability and a lack of understanding of one's true nature. If you can't be allowed to develop into whatever it is that you want, or whatever it is that you're intended to be, it's like binding someone's feet. It's like impeding the natural growth of something and creating a disability as a result of it. And I know this topic is very, very sensitive. And I'm not speaking from any political position when I say this. I'm speaking from a position of a naturalist and a futurist who's concerned about the future of the human race. And as a naturalist, I can say that it's not healthy to impede the growth of something, the natural development of something. And as a futurist, I'd say we need to concern ourselves with the reproduction of our race, because I don't think people really realize how sensitive and delicate that really is, because we do rely on the next generation to provide us with more human beings. Because if we drop past a certain level, then the way of life as we know it would cease to operate, and we would experience major breakdowns in our society. And we're not prepared for that. Nor should we be concerned about depopulation. These are narratives that these world elitists have been promoting for years. And these ideas and ideologies and concepts are created in order for them to gain more power. Power, power, power. And it's not always about money with some of these types. It's about power and being able to control even the highest leadership in our world. People who live in crowded cities think that there's overpopulation, and then people that live in country areas or more rural areas look at things and say, well, there's plenty of room. See, it's a matter of perception. And what it is that we've had a very limited perception for so very long. And all of these things are right here before us. We can know the truth about things if we want to know. Just ask, just look. It's right there online. But a lot of people would rather not, because a change of perspective is very difficult, and it's really not it's just not really in our nature to want to change our perspective on things. In fact, it's in our nature as human beings to defend our perspective, our side, the way that we see things to the very bitter end. And I also feel like a lot of what's happening right now is happening because people refuse to see the truth. And the hell is going to keep breaking loose until people see the truth and stop the insanity that's creating the problems that we're experiencing, the way of thinking, the mentality that's put us in the position that we are, not only as a country in the United States, as where I am currently, but for other countries all around the world. This is not an isolated problem just to America. This is a problem that is affecting countries all over the world. And Mr. Musk likes to call it the mind virus, and I like that. I think that is incredibly appropriate, because it really is. It's an infection. It's just kind of weaved its way in, and there is so much anger coming from that particular aspect, we'll just say that, those particular people, and you know who they are because they're so damn angry. They're so mad. I don't know what to say, you guys. But yeah, it's all possible because people choose to be ambivalent. They choose to stick their head in the dirt. They want to take, but they never want to give, you know? And I'm sorry, but, until that changes, we're going to keep facing this stuff. And it's going to get worse if we can't teach our next generations how to do it right. And so I feel like, we are all at this precipice right now. There's this, the time is upon us, it is incumbent on you and everyone that is alive and well right now to take on the responsibility of doing the right thing and teaching our children how to do the right thing too, to lead by example, to be steadfast, to be stable, for our kids, for our grandkids, for ourselves, for God's sake, you know. And I feel like there's so much instability in these current generations. They don't know. They don't know what they are. They don't know what they want. They don't know. And that's because there's been so many ideas, ideals, concepts, and things just injected into the possibilities, that it really just confuses the human mind, especially when it's, happening at an age when your mind hasn't really developed and you haven't had experiences or anything to draw from. And so, all of this stuff, it all just comes right back in together because it's all coming from the same source. If it's not things they're doing to our children or trying to depopulate the world and trying to convince you to do so, it's climate issues. And right now I'm trying to get to the bottom of what's going on with these weather management operations that have been going on, and I can't seem to get anyone to respond. Now they hand out licenses to do this, and we know that they are having these operations and they're actively doing it. And I feel like they need to have some sort of reporting on it, but they don't have any kind of reporting systems created. And that's kind of what I've been talking to I've talked to a senator about it, and even the local mayor, because I know that it's been happening here in my city. I'm not getting anything. I'm not getting anywhere. So I'm gonna have to, look at some other avenues with regard to that. But there are things happening with our air, with our water, with our medical, with everything is geared towards pharmaceuticals. It sounds crazy, but it's 100% true and verifiable. But yeah, we've got this problem, and they've just weaved their way into like every single aspect. Everything that I've always said to you guys is that you've got to be careful about what you allow into your energy. I see it, the mind virus, the infection. I see it in people. And it's because they allow things, they've allowed something into their energetic field. They've welcomed something in. It could have been a person, it could have been a thing, it could have been an idea, a concept. Whatever it is, they've said, okay, it's okay for you to reside in my energy. And like I say, we're little channels. And so we're channeling all the crazy stuff. And then we say, hey, you're welcome to come on in here and I'll channel whatever that is too. And that's when you get this like crazy level of anger and confusion and all of this stuff that's going on because people don't know that they're little channels and that they're literally channeling every single thing that comes by. It's like, where is the person under all of the layers of frequency or all of the layers of whatever, however you want to see that? But I see it like, layers of frequency, of low frequency entity attachments that have just kind of piled on, and that person just is somewhere in there, but it's like they've been poisoned and infected by this particular, let's call it a frequency, like I like to do. But that's where the our power resides, is in recognizing that in people, and also being able to clear it up in ourselves, because we really just don't have the ability. And I want to say here and now, man, this thing goes both ways, folks. I mean, you've got one side that's, got their narrative, and it's unfortunate, but the other side has a narrative too. And it's just like, there really is a huge swath of people that don't really buy into either of those narratives. But there is also a huge number of those people who feel as if they have to associate with one or the other, red or blue, right? And let's break it down and say red pill or blue pill, right? Oh my goodness. But yeah, I mean, when it comes down to it, a choice is being made there in people's minds, and that division is a huge, huge problem. And like I said, the answer is in, controlling our own energy, controlling our frequency, getting the word out, and letting people start to learn about their nature as human beings, which I haven't even tapped the pedal on yet. I always like to look at the human as if, we are these spiritual light beings that are like driving these little flesh meat machines, right? They're our little robotic suits. They're so high tech and cool, but we have to take care of them. And some of us have a female suit. Some of our suits are darker than others. Some of our suits are male. You know what I'm saying? They're all different, and they're all unique and beautiful and wonderful. And the problem is that these low frequency types have been like hyper focused on what our suits look like. It's just crazy, you guys. I mean, really. For those who like to think we're in a matrix sequence, it's pretty cool. I'm a big fan of Philip K. Dick, and he felt like he was able to kind of transverse into different realities. And in each of these realities, it was kind of like a different challenge, a different Nazi kind of scheme and stuff. So we could be like in World War Earth. I don't really know what the name of the game is, but I really don't like to talk in those terms because I don't take it seriously. Because I feel like when you speak in terms of the world being a video game, that makes people freak out and think that they're the only ones here, and they start to not have compassion for others and lose perspective on self. And though the video game thing is applicable in a certain way, I think that's kind of been simplified to the point where it could potentially be dangerous for those who don't understand the concept of like a living organism type matrix, right? But when it comes down to it, let's get down to working on our energy, letting the people in our lives know about their energy and their energetic field, and how to be careful about what they're welcoming in and what they're channeling, so to speak, and, what it is they're projecting. Because, like I said, I don't think a lot of people are very aware of what it is that's going on there, and they're literally victim to it until they understand how to manage it. And also, I have to say, it's not just a concept that you can just switch on. If you've lived this way your whole life, then understanding these concepts is only the first step, and actually applying them is the next one. And that's sometimes difficult, because we have to work against what we have we have to work against what we've been taught and the things that we've come to understand. And we have to understand that, and we have to change our perspectives. And that, like I said, can be very challenging. And I would say it's a journey more than it is a destination. Because we're human. We're so special humans. All right, guys. Thanks for listening to me go on. I appreciate every single one of you. I hope that if you're not already an awesome subscriber, you'll subscribe to the channel. I usually do all sorts of content, different things, but all in this kind of line of working with your energetic field, working with energy, sound, light, frequency, crystal bowls, tuning forks, and I like to do a little bit of consciousness work, and love my astrology, my generational astrology. I'll be doing some Neptune in the generations coming up real soon. So there's a 6-part series with that, and I'm really looking forward to getting to it. And instead of doing my first video on Neptune in Libra, which is the baby boomers generation, I'm doing this video because I didn't quite have time to bring it all together. So hopefully in the next week or so, I'll be able to have that Neptune video ready for you. So be sure to subscribe, hit the bell for notifications when I release new videos. I wish you all the very best. Take care.